Good morning to our viewers in Cameroon and around the world. You are welcome to the program Press Brief this Monday morning of the 22nd day of April 2024. We'll be back to give you the first piece of the program reserved for the peoples. We'll be back. Once again, you are heartily welcome, our fervent viewers in the nation and around the world. Let's start this first phase of the program with the Dawn newspaper for this morning. The Dawn newspaper for today have as lead story FACO Chiefs Conference. Chief Dr. Molive Oto is the new president of the FACO Chiefs Conference. This follows an election that took place over the weekend in FACO division of the Southwest region. MTN Elite One Championship, Victoria United brings home cup as they have been crowned champions of Cameroon. And we move on to Bamosol division of the Bamosol subdivision of the Bakassi Peninsula, where council commended for effective fiscal management. And Fakoland saga confusion continues following that of Tico, where Irish population actually molested a traditional ruler in that part of Tico subdivision. Away from that, we move on to the Post newspaper for this day. The Post newspaper of late Francis Wache for today have as lead story. The paper of the Post says French ambassador promises to transform Bamenda following his visit alongside that of the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestin Kecha Cortez, to Bamenda recently. Joshua Osi meets Boya Populist, calls for massive voters registration, and CBC, two officials expected in court for alleged unlawful adoption of Constitution of the Cameroon Baptist Convention. We move on to IDP's mayors in Bamenda urged to go back to constituent, boost voters registration. And in that said paper, Tumfo Barsaniko Hale received a quadruple award for outstanding peace religious development strides from the legal practitioner. Away from that, we move on to something else this time around with the next publication for today. Le Chapeau of Karotamba talks of sensitization, post Boko Haram sensitization. It talks of returns to normalcy in the affected zones from the far north region. Alu Junior Yombi, the paper report of his 7th victory in boxing. Get to read more on Le Chapeau newspaper for this day. From Le Chapeau, we take you to municipal updates. Municipal updates of Victor Bamacham says Northwest Governor installs 31 special status regional delegates in that said publication. On regional tour, Joshua Osi inspires hope among Southwest supporters. We move on to serving God with reserve. It says Limbe One Mayor Posim Boye Florence, dedicated elder and chairperson of Presbyterian Church, Bonadikombo in my 4 conjuncture economy for this day. Report on the growth in the Semak region after the World Bank actually made that statement. And pollution of plastic and sachet whiskeys in the country, something the paper report it's quite a health hazard according to the Cameroon Union of Employers, GCAM. And we'll move on to Info Show. It talks of the image speaking more than words. It says when CPDM decides to capture Conan, who is claiming to be the founding father of one of the leading political parties in the country, PCRN of Cabral Libre. We move over to L'Expression. L'Expression reports on the city urbanization plan of regional capitals. It says Bamenda gets her own. Get to read more on that engagement on L'Expression newspaper for today. The Eagle's Eyes for this morning report on Honorable Ambe Asase pilots regional development at National Assembly. And boosting agriculture, Honorable Zione donates tons tons of quality maize seeds to uplift local farmers. Get to read details on that publication for today. Eco Outlook for today reports on Kupe Maniguba on Spotlight. Renowned US-based attorney John A. sworn into Cameroon Bar as barrister and solicitor notary. Get to read more on him on Eco Outlook for this day. And in that same paper, barrister Ebba Toko drills UB students on career paths, peace, businesses. Get to read more on that same paper. World Book Day celebrations. Cameroon needs a vibrant readership club, according to George Ngwane, who happens to be one of the members of the Cameroon National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism. And we move on to this affair of Simi and Wala. It says, when will the judicial procedure kickstart? Get to read details on a quotidian emissions for today. Yellow fever, the risks of propagation in Cameroon. Get to read details on the set paper on quotidian emissions for today. It's 800,000 mental health patients were recorded in Cameroon since 2021. You can find details on quotidian emissions for today. Meanwhile, the other paper, Mutation, for this morning report on electoral registration. It says, regain of citizenship. Get to read more on that said paper, as most Cameroonians are now taking to social media and mainstream media for their passion to make sure that they get registered on the electoral list that will be closing this August 2024. We move on to the regional council from the South region. The paper reports on the boosting of cocoa production in the South region by the regional council from the South. We take you now to something else. This time around, we'll make a stopover with the paper of the Guardian Post of Christian Ga. It says Bamenda gets 30 billion CFA francs to construct upgrade roads. And Joy and Noble Division Energy Minister Gaston Elumbu Somba inaugurates first Bibimba solar plant power station. And ahead of upcoming elections slated for 2025, Ba Acha Rose trumps massive voters registration in her native Momo division. Commentary: when CAF keeps Cameroon soccer fans in suspense. Get to read that story on that publication of the Guardian Post. Moving up north with the paper Lloyd Sahel of Gibe, by the time it talks of Boko Haram, it says 3 humanitarian urgency that needs to international assistance. You can find more on the survivors of Boko Haram insurgency in the far north region. And Mora, the paper report on mystery returns to the death regarding the divisional officer, the DO for Mora. You can find details on that set paper for today. 2024, the polemics and motion of thank you to President Paul Biya for Muslim pilgrims who will be going to the Holy Land of Mecca. Away from that, we move on to ladies news. The Women Advocates paper for today talks of examination into EPS 2024. Ministry of Secondary Education headed by Nalova Lyonga, and that of Sport and Physical Education headed by Narcis Mole Kombi, are coming out with this great engagement in order to make a successive EPS examination competitive one at that. And in that said paper, the humanitarian plan response, he says Atagaji Paul calls for 229 billion CFA francs to be mobilized as a budget for the assistance given to humanitarian action all across the nation. Get to read details on that on page 4. We crossed over to Daily Sun. We are visiting the Nigerian tabloids. Daily Sun for today says ex-governor Bello, EFCC waits on court and judge to decide former governor's proposed arrangement. And new Nigeria possible with right leadership in government, Obi tells diaspora Nigerians. We move on to this day. Another Nigerian publication says federal government to deploy launch of first set of CNG vehicles in May to mark Tinubu's 1 year as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. First Bank Holdings announcing Olusegun Osiwaso as acting executive chief after the other person resigned. We crossed over to Sporting Sun for this morning. It's a fair to sell Jesus, and in the said publication, the paper report on West Ham plotting move to sign Didi. Daily Trust, the Abuja paper for this day report on total abducted within the space of 3 months, according to a special report done by the federal agency in the Nigeria Vanguard for today. Report on top manufacturers list was incurred 2,262 billion naira losses in 1 year. We move on to intrigues as new Gandujo World Exco emerges suspend national chairman of the All Progressive Party APC, that is the ruling party in Nigeria. Leadership for this day talks of stakeholders braces up for CNG adoption in asset paper 2024 budget. NUPRC, NAFDAC, 5 others mark for 80.9 billion naira welfare and business day for this morning. Talks of Dangote diesel hits market in treat for European refineries. A threat for European refineries, I beg your pardon. How Adutua Sori resigned as First Bank CEO. You can find details on that for today. Daily Independent for this morning reports on fear of injection illicit funds into weak lenders heightens. Get to read more on banks capitalization. Ex-Nigeria Airways staff 20 years after government yet to clear the sum of 34.34 billion debt to salvage the workers of former Nigerian Air Aviation Company. Nigerian News Direct for this day talks of Ondo 2024 Ayitiwa court to victory. Get to read details on that said paper. We come back to Cameroon with the Cameroonian tabloid. We continue this time around with a copy of Confidential for this morning. It talks of how garbage heaps are now animating the city of Douala as major road junction are being blocked by heavy garbage heaps. Get to read details on Confidential newspaper for today. From Confidential newspaper, we move on to the next publication on our disposal. We take you to Echo News for this morning. It talks of road projects. It says NIDs will now swim into action regarding mass road construction and road maintenance all across the nation. The last paper on our disposal for this morning is a health newspaper. That is Quotidian Sante. That reports on the Douala General Hospital and the American Cancer Society, who engages for this services for cancer treatment to be given to Cameroonians and non-Cameroonians alike. And Football Regional League in the South region. The paper report on traumatic experience of certain players. Get to read details on that paper for today. With that publication of Quotidian Sante, this is what put a pause on this program. We'll be back for the second part reserved for our reviewers. Our reviewer is already here with us. Hi there, viewers of iTelevision. You all are welcome back to the program. If you are joining us, you are on to Press Brief, and on the second phase of the program is reserved for our reviewer. Our reviewer for this morning is Lucas G. Good morning to you, Lucas, and you're heartily welcome to the program.
Good morning. It's a pleasure.
All right, we kickstart this first phase with the Dawn newspaper. The Dawn newspaper for today says Fako land saga confusion continues. This one follows the situation in Tiko subdivision where a traditional ruler of Bokanjo, or if I'm not mistaken, or the pronunciation of that village was beaten by irate population of that set village over land issue. But there is the clarity of the story. According to the senior divisional officer for Fako, Viang Mekala, and the mayor of Tiko, Chief Peter Mesoso, who says it is an engagement taken by the Tiko Council, was awarded a contract of creating farm to market roads along that village. But now villagers came out to say it is the chief who wants to, who is creating the road and wants to destroy their farmlands and others land grabbing. So we find ourselves how a traditional ruler was beaten by in broad daylight by the persons, his subjects, or people who are living in that village.
Yes, you know the major problem in Fako, like we have in that situation, is what we call the legitimacy and illegitimacy of certain traditional rulers. Fako in the Republic of Cameroon is the highest division to have had administrative orders suspending chiefdoms and certain chiefs. The predecessor of the current district officer for Fako had suspended some people within Fako who said they are chiefs also, which we saw a communique from the Ministry of Territorial Administration clarifying the people on different villages and different chiefdoms. So Fako has a problem. It would appear the problem is not the inhabitants. The problem lies between administrative officers or administrative authorities sent to Fako and some administrators residing in Yaoundé and some elites, political elites of Fako, who makes this thing and twats and desecrates the authority of the Bakure people, especially in the sense that when things like this happen, you start asking yourself questions. How is it possible that a chief is beaten by his subject? Now, these are not people from another village. It is the chief of the area. And that which they themselves have arrogated to themselves. So this is where we find ourselves in Fako. It is alleged that the same person who was beaten, who is the chief of that said village, that the brother is a chief in another village, still within Fako. Then you may want to ask yourself, is it an annex of the village or it is that village?
Okay.
So you realize that there's the issue, as you heard the version of the mayor of Fako, of Tiko, pardon, Chief Mesoso, who doubles also as a traditional ruler within the said municipality. This is where we find ourselves. You know, we would struggle to, people living in these villages understands exactly where the village boundaries are. There are people in these villages who have been there for more than 80 years. And most of the chiefs who are now fighting are young people because they are able to secure the positive approach of some administrative authorities who are acting unscrupulously on lands which are not theirs, and those residing in Yaoundé and some of the political elites of the same Fako in Yaoundé. They have made the Bakure people to appear as a people with no sense of direction. Kuva Likenier and his team, this is not what they had fought for. This is not what they wanted for the Bakure people. But this is what we are now having because we have people who have decided to consider cash over dignity. And there are people who do not know how cash alongside their dignity, because we have legitimate chiefs and we have illegitimate chiefs in Fako. This was made known, and we have villages that are not existing. This was made known by
Tiko Douala village. You can imagine how ridiculous the thing sounds.
To imagine that there is a village called Tiko Douala,
and you can see we just come out here or say High TV village.
It's possible. We could have High TV village. You go to somewhere and look for your own land, have some boys with muscles and they will fight for you and give you a piece of land. You can also call it your own ITV village. Because this is what some administrators in Fako have reduced the Bakure people to, where once a party is capable of oiling the system, because all they need is the oil that to actually, they need a lubricant.
Yeah, for sure.
And once you make available the lubricant, which is their stomach, and hide these things, we have seen it in several cases, that the Ministry of Territorial Administration, which understands every single territory in the country, will tell us that this area is not a village.
Okay.
And you see some administrators will tell you that, who told you that this area is not a village? Howbeit, I am the chief, the mayor of Tiko is also a chief. Howbeit, he is not the head. Let the traditional authorities of Fako go down to the field, go down and ensure that those who desecrated, if this guy who was beaten is a legitimate traditional ruler, those who desecrated the legitimacy of this area, I beg of you,
should be accounted for.
They should be accounted for. We should bring these people to order. Besides the physical assault and the rest, let us handle it traditionally.
Yeah.
We want to bring sanity to this because we are tired of everyone trying to twat the Fako.
During Thursday's meeting, Young Mekala says the arm of the law will definitely lay on those hands on those culprits who got the chief well beaten. And someone, a colleague of mine, is saying we should not forget PSTV Village too, since I TV mine.
It's okay. It can be created.
So he's watching. He just sent me a message. He just sent me a message right now. So we'll move on to something else with Mita Siong for this morning. Mita Siong reports on massive electoral registration. He says the regain of citizenship. You can find details on page 6 to 7 of the paper of Terry Diaga of Mita Siong for today, as many Cameroonians are taking to social media and mainstream media to make sure that they register on the electoral list. This is really, really good and we should appreciate.
That's right. You see, I'm smiling because it was on this same TV which I'm currently sitting when I started the campaign for massive voter registration. And when I said we are on the field to politically educate the people, some people thought some of us were making it as a joke. It was a few weeks later we got the papers reporting on it and different media outlets, and today it is taking another 10. And I want to say this, the dynamics also was transformed by the bishops in their last outings. And this is where we find Cameroonians struggling to have the identity. I feel so good about it because this is exactly what I have been saying in the past, that until you understand this fact that Bia is your employee, Bena Okalia Bila is your employee, Vian Mekole, on multipartism, there was a certain liberty law that was put forth in 1990 that created associations, clubs, and other media houses. Yeah. So today, if we are seeing High TV, it is because there was a law that created this medium. And if you're watching, listening to the goodies and the wonderful things coming out from High TV, it is because High TV is enjoying its right, which was we can bring you the things you never knew, the things you are learning, because High TV enjoys its right. And they are broadcasting and they are giving you information.
Sure.
So you have to go to the polling stations and also ensure that you give your vote. And like I explained in several meetings, a vote given to the party you desire, be it the party that makes it at the end of the day or not, is a vote which counts, because every single ballot dropped in those ballot boxes count. It changes the dynamics. It changes everything. It's unfortunate that many did not see how the changes are operating within the society. I am a product of democracy. I am a product of the liberty laws. That is the things you hear me say. When I say Bia, it is because the law created the institution that gives me the power to call him to order, because he is my employee. Because the conversations from the different parties, and you would have made an informed decision before giving that ballot. So I'm happy with the identification quest today by Cameroonians. They have the quest to identify themselves. They have the quest to find themselves. They were lost. And I want to say that Whether we do like it or we do not like it, the wind of positive change is in Cameroon.
Okay.
It is time for young Cameroonians to adequately use it. If you use it judiciously, you shall see it. Imagine that we get up by August 31st, when Elekan will be closing her electoral register, with about 15 million Cameroonians registered for elections.
That will be massive.
Boy, you all know what happened in Nigeria. You know what happened in Senegal. You know what I'm talking about. You are not seeing the young man today in Senegal by chance, because time and chance happens to all. You know the good news, it comes once. If it is adequately put into action, go to police stations. I will continue. Go in whatever subdivision, in Konye, wherever you find yourself, in Gelemenduka, anywhere you find yourself, in Nyong and Kele, go and pick up your vote card, and you can only do so upon registering. Once you register, you are in their database. Once you are in their database, if the vote card will delay, because the law says Elecam should publish a list 2 weeks before an election for people to verify their names.
Okay.
So once you have registered and you have a receipt, keep your receipt well, because you could use your ID card to vote. Therefore, once you have registered, you keep your receipt well. Perhaps your vote card will not be published or printed before that period, but this is what you have to do. Keep your receipt, because Elecam will call you. Go to Elecam office. We are paying them billions of CFA francs to work for us, to make the country better. So don't stay behind, because the rear seat has never produced any result. Those who take the front seat, of course, you know what happens. So be involved, actively involved.
All right, we'll leave it at that, but we remain in the world of politics. Wait, M4 show. M4 show for this morning talks of picture composition. This is something we did in primary school. It says when CPDM decides to Conan, the president or the purported founding father of the Cameroon National Party for Reconciliation, known in French as PCRN. So we saw, as you can see on your screen there, Conan, who held the effigy of Paul Biya. So let's talk on this topic, because it has been animating the social and mainstream media spaces, as he now that he just came out from nowhere, says the current president of the party, Honorable Cabral Libri, has been expelled by the said person, and now Cabral turns out and expelled him too. So the back and forth story, and now him holding the effigy of Paul Biya. Isn't this what we play? What I don't know how to even describe it.
That's right.
That's funny enough.
That's right. I want to go by its name, the Cameroon National Party for Reconciliation. To you, to please let us not thwart the efforts of Cameroonians. I want to appeal to the entire party, the members of the Cameroon National Party for Reconciliation. Let us face the fact. Today, I don't know if it's a Photoshop or it is for real, but I want to believe that we know what it involves if there should be a certain misinformation with regards to someone's person, impersonifications, the libels, and the defamation of character, and the rest. It's very rare. Therefore, the Cameroon National Party for Reconciliation is rather the Cameroon National Party for Disintegration. In what sense? This is not the time at the eve of an election for people to start fighting. I may not know much about the article of association with regards to that particular party in terms of their bylaws. Who has what prerogative? Because I have struggled, I've written a couple of times, I've struggled to get to people who are sympathizers and militants of that party to come out and give me some information with regards to what is happening, not from the media perspective. I want to have the article of association to see the clause, which particular section of their bylaws gives Kona power and which one gives Cabral Libri power to do what or whatever to do. Because we keep hearing that Kona says he expelled Cabral Libri, and I know that it would be very difficult for a political party, for an individual, to get up and say, I have expelled you. I understand that it is usually, even like the CPDM, couldn't have sanctioned Masangan Niamti. The president of the republic did not sanction him because he's the party chairperson no. It was a body that sat. So for a party such as
Masangan Niamti says friends of friends of enemies, as he puts it.
That's what he put it. Yeah. It. But it was a delegation that sat. So if the Cameroon National Party for Reconciliation, known in French as the PCRN, which most people know, would come out at the eve of elections and they are fighting themselves. Please, Mr. Kona, I may not know much about your relationship with Cabral, but I want to say one thing. I think Cabral Libi, if we saw it during the last invitation given to him by Bassirou Diomaye of Niger, the president of Senegal. If I'm to go by that, I think it's based on the work he does.
Yeah.
And if I am to go based on the young people I see behind Cabral Libi, it's based on the work he does. If there was an agreement that he was going to be the presidential candidate for this particular election, so be it. However, my appeal is, since the picture composition, since what we can read from that picture is Kona Robert is doing his best to disintegrate that party, to reduce its force because of what the party carries, then it will not work. However, he has the right given to him by law to associate with whoever he wants, provided they will not go against other laws that the country has in
Alright, let's look at it at an objective point of view. We see this party that have been making wave ever since the gentleman Honorable Cabral Libi came into the picture, and we saw, because this party was it wasn't that popular, it wasn't that known, but ever since the last elections, ever since he gained a ticket to be the presidential front runner of that said party, it has grown from strength to strength, as they are now, I think, the second or no, the third when it comes to representative at the National Assembly in terms of numbers. Yeah, so the party has Cabral Libi, and now Konan, many say he is being teleguided by certain CPDM persons, as we see there. It's tending to be true. I don't want to point fingers. And we saw the situation of UPC, the oldest political party in Cameroon, where it was also disintegrated and infiltrated by persons from you have a section that says
no, they have come out openly. There is a section that
say CPDM. We are for CPDM. We have UPC Manidem, UPC of Bapoli. And so I don't know, that it's like when the party the government in question felt threatened by the vibrancy of Cabral Libi, and taking into cognizance that he's a friend to the just elected president of Senegal, and he too is just 44 years. So isn't like they don't want to see a replay or a melodrama of Senegal playing in Cameroon for 2025 presidentials.
Yes. The answer, your question, the answer to me is yes. With regards to the papers, the answer is yes. Like I explained earlier, politics, and whenever you vote, it isn't about number per se.
Yeah.
You must not win. However, every single vote given to the person you want to count positively to your party. Therefore, if you put the situations together, why the threat? You should not forget that in the south, which I think is where Cabral Libi is coming from, he is a threat, and in our regards to,
and that's where the president of the republic too is coming from.
And so this is where the president is coming from. So when you read the entire story, what you can pick out from it is, okay, we are looking for someone who is going to disintegrate the party and cause the people to go into their shell, so that the force they are coming up with, it has to die down. And the unfortunate thing is, we do not have much of opposition parties with some degree of power at the level from the south region and the central region. So when you look at the entire situation, given that he is from the south region, and you know what happened before the center south was broken away,
the Fangbeti area,
the Fangbeti area. So you can now clearly see that the Fangbeti people are beginning to, or they are already lining up or queuing behind this 44-year-old gentleman who happens to be a member of parliament also, Cabral Libi. So this is where you see the dynamics changing. So when you analyze these things, it was the same thing with the people of the UPC. Yeah. The UPC was founded by some members of the center, the West region, and because most members of
the
Basalan, take note that you have two types of these people. You have the people who says we are from upper, we have those who are from below, and so most of these people who also came littoral region. So because of this, it became very difficult for some of these people to understand what was happening. So in order to break their power, of course, you know what it means to divide the people and rule them.
Sure.
So in order to break their power, so they don't have that much power, it is for you to integrate the party. So the party was divided. A similar thing was done with the CPP.
Where Tanganji wanted to have his way, but the court outruled that.
How be it affected the party already.
Sure.
Kawala and the others also suffered that. So it is not strange. What is quite unfortunate is they do these things to party which have a great following at a particular point where they can be threatened. Similarly, you can see that with the SDF. So, but to put it straight, it is not a bad thing in politics.
Okay.
For those who do not know. So you don't get all this thing wrong.
All right.
And this is where we say political education matters.
For sure.
Because the things I have said, summarily, it is not a bad thing in politics. Everyone wants to see a people going separated. So
to the advantage of the other person.
So you should identify, and this is where I said, Robert Kona has every single right given to him. He has to enjoy his right.
But not when he flaps himself. Not when he goes against the principles of the set party where he claims to incarnate and claims to be the founding father. So we see the double standards of Cameroonians when it comes to politicking in the nation.
That's right, Hilary. So at this juncture, what do we do? That's a big question.
All right.
Militants and sympathizers of this party, they have to study, and this is where it is also good. I explained to someone, I said, before you become a member of an association, endeavor to understand the constitution.
Definitely.
Because this will help where and what to do. You don't get into it and you start finding your way. You should not get into it, and when the unfortunate situation comes up, that's when you start asking questions as to who is legitimate, who is not legitimate, and so on and so forth. So it suffices that you get the information prior to your going in, such that you will be making informed decisions, not decisions that will rather come to bring reforms at a particular moment, which you must have identified. So now, Kona is already out as a militant of the CPDM party, but ruling another party, quote unquote, as he put it. So the question is, how is he going to have his way?
He's not even ruling, because Cabral still commands a lot of parties.
The territorial administration a couple of times, but that had not actually worked for his good. Now, this again is very clear that Cabral Libi has significant following.
For sure. Okay, we move away from that. Let's take you to Buea with the post. The post of late Francis Wache for this day says French ambassador to Cameroon, Thierry Marchal, promises to transform the town of Bamenda following his visit alongside that of the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestin Kechal Cortez, to the town of Bamenda, where the sum of 30 billion CFA francs was given for the transformation of the town known as C2D plan of development.
Yes, it's as simple as this. Okay, I want to. This is a moment for the people to see. I'm reviewing the papers.
Okay.
We are reviewing the papers.
Sure.
We are analyzing the papers, so you should see. Now, let me say this as simple as it is. Thierry Marchal is not the government of Cameroon. Thierry Marchal is not the regional delegate for urban development. He is not the Minister of Urban Development and Housing. Thierry Marchal is the French ambassador to Cameroon. Now, you may want to ask yourself. Someone may want to ask.
No, let me put it here. It's not only Bamenda.
I know.
It's a plan that cuts across the 10 regional.
I get it, brother.
Capitals.
Yes, but like I said, someone may want to ask, why Bamenda?
Because after Bamenda, he went to Bafoussam to perform a similar ritual.
Good. Why Bamenda? Someone will want to ask at this time. The question are there. The answer is simple. The French know exactly what is at hand in 2025. I want to assure Cameroonians that Cameroon is the next country where the people would kick out the French people. In what sense? Cameroonians are realizing that they have been cheated for many years, and most Cameroonians are now into some of these things the French were into and claiming to be people of goodwill to Cameroonians. If you go to Douala, look at the Carrefour Marchés and the rest. It's a French-owned businesses and many other. Today we now have people like the Santa Lucias and the rest. You have many other companies which are now being managed by some Cameroonians alongside some people from China and the rest. So while others are using a radical means to kick out the French people, we are using another diplomatic means to kick out the French people, because we understand that Cameroon is a country the French count on a lot as concerning CEMAC. You should know already that Cameroon in CEMAC is the biggest economy.
Sure.
And within the CEMAC zones, you have the Chad, you have the Central African Republic,
Equatorial Guinea,
you have the Equatorial Guinea, you have the Gabon. There is a significant shift from these people as concerning the French. From the minds of the citizens, it is now creeping into the minds of the administrators. So the French are aware that a lot is at stake. And like the Russian president once said, that to kick out French from Africa or France from Africa, it is to simply educate the Africans. You must not indeed put up a certain physical fight. So the French, they know. I am saying that they are not the development agents of this country. It will be a failure, because you can't hit your chest and say that France will develop America or France is going to urbanize America. You can't hit your chest and say that France will urbanize Niger. So why should we be the ones to celebrate that the French have given us 30 billion? And like I make it very clear for those who do not know, in diplomacy, what happens is your diplomatic relationship, every single action is an investment.
Sure.
They know where to take it. It's not a gift. To put it in a layman way, no be dash. They don't plan as until they want to make some other thing thereafter.
All right.
So you have to understand that this was not a gift. So the earlier you start looking at how this money is spent, the better.
Well, they insist on road construction and other urbanization settlements over there in Bamenda.
Well, the road constructions are very obvious. Firstly, if you look at the cost to tie a kilometer of tar road in Cameroon, is relatively too expensive. It's billions of CFA francs. You get. So the question is, are we going to tie a certain 30-kilometer road? Because to tie a single kilometer road in Cameroon
is a local.
The people of Bamenda should ensure that Paul Achombong and the others will not take this money and put in their pocket, because it is not a dash.
Anyways,
it is an investment.
Paul Achombong is doing his best. If I do
recently it was indexed for bad actions.
Anyways,
so it's not strange.
Everybody has a shortcoming.
But he has to account for the people. He's an employee.
Of course, he is accounting for the people.
So we will not take the cliche that everybody will do it. He's an employee. Paul Achombong is not the employer, he's the employee.
Of course.
And he must respect the people. This is democracy I want the people to pick for themselves. And I am glad that Cameroonians are picking
and
that's those who will not work well, come to report.
They'll be voted
They'll
out.
have no certificate. They'll boot them out.
Alright. Lucas, let's move on to the national tour of the national president or national chairman of the Social Democratic Front, Joshua Osei, who was in the southwest region, precisely in the locality of Boya, where the Boya populace calls for massive voters registration. You happen to be one among those who attended the ceremony that took place over the weekend, as you posed some questions to the national chairman of SDF. So tell us.
Yes, I think it was great. I had to ask him a couple of questions, and I was not the only one who asked questions, and I'm glad that he did answer some of these questions. Howbeit, I know he's a politician, and we know politicians have their own system. This notwithstanding, on the aspect of educating the young people on how to become entrepreneurs and the need for young people to actively take part in political decisions was also that it is what dominated that. And I think with regards to his tour, he met a couple of persons in Buea. He met a Silicon Mountain. He met some entrepreneurs in Buea, and he also met the young enthusiastic youth, especially youth from the University of Buea and other communities. And we had persons also from the My 16 community who were present to listen to Joshua Osei, because I keep on telling the people, until when you question your employee, you will not know exactly what your employee is capable of doing.
Okay.
And I am glad that Joshua Osei and others who also doubles as a member of parliament made it clear that they are only the employee of the people. And they have come to ask the people what direction they would love that they should take the country. And this is what I want for everyone given the opportunity by Cameroonians to go back to the people, not when they come around, armored cars will come around, the military will brutalize the people, they think they are the only ones to use the road, whereas the gun they are using, Cameroonians bought it with their money. The uniform they wear, the armored car they use, the people they claim to guide, the people they claim to protect, Cameroonians are the ones paying them. But to dynamics are changing. There will be someone who will not tolerate this. And like I explained somewhere, that it is only in Cameroon where you will see people who are paid by Cameroonians. They will treat Cameroonians as though Cameroonians are beggars.
Okay.
No. It is not done.
Okay.
And so within this contact tour, within this discussion and the course of this program, so many young people, some had to ask questions with regards to what is he doing as a member of parliament as concerning prostitution. I was so thrilled when I got that, because this is what also destroys the social fabric of our country. And I'm glad that the answer he gave, well, he too made it very clear that it is the oldest business, as many have always said. Of course, this notwithstanding, there is still a solution to it. And when I posed a question to him with regards to what is the parliament doing, then he said, well, the party in power, which happens to be the CPDM, indeed, as concerning the Anglophone crisis, the solution to him is still in the 2G. According to Joshua Osei, who is the chairperson of the SDF party and a member of the parliamentarian,
the lower house of
in Cameroon, he told the people that the solution to this crisis still lies in Yaoundé.
All right.
And he said this is where he thinks if they are given the chance, 3 months, this crisis will be over, because a 2D carries the solution to the crisis. And the people of the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon are only victims of the crisis.
All right, Lucas, the last paper for today is municipal update. We are packing our bags out of the studio. So, municipal update says Northwest governors installs 31 special status regional delegates in the Northwest region. Quickly.
Beautiful. All I can say is the people within the constituents, please, you see these guys, they might have been installed by the governor as the law provides. They are not there to work for themselves. If you identify anything which is given to us in the special status which they are not carrying out, don't hesitate. You can go to the Cameroon Human Rights Commission for the Northwest region. You can write to the respective ministers. If they don't respond, you write a reminder. If they don't respond, you can still write. And we will bring these people to order, because the special status, in as much as it does not have the entire solution as concerning the Anglophone crisis, because we should say it was conceived and birthed with the impression that it was going to solve the Anglophone problem.
All right.
It probably will be handling the Anglophone problem, but not the war situation in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. In the sense that the people have always wanted to manage certain things by themselves. Howbeit, if you identify that some of these delegates would still give Yaoundé what the Yaoundé would ask and forget about the people, don't hesitate. You have the right to stand up against them.
Okay.
It is your right. They should not do that.
All
they
right.
are there to serve.
Okay.
They are not there to be lord over the people.
Sure.
They are servants.
All right.
And so you have to call these people to order.
Okay, Lucas, thank you so much for your parting words.
It's always a pleasure. And the last word, if I have to say, still will be on one of your papers.
Okay.
Cameroonians who are now identify themselves as Cameroonians and want to enjoy their identity as Cameroonians and have now decided, or they have decided to go to the polling stations come 2025 by registering for elections this year. I want to say that 31st of August is the deadline. Elekan will close our list 12 minutes. Elekan will close our list or her register. So continue. I want to applaud the bishops. I want to speak to the Pentecostal pastors. It should be a commitment. If you go to Proverbs 29 verse 2, it is clearly stated. If you think you are a righteous person, then don't be shy to lead. So tell your congregants, tell your members, they should not limit it to the papaism gospel. They too have to take active part in managing the country.
Okay.
We want to start mobilizing Elekam to meet your respective churches so people can register for elections. When we come, don't be holier than thou. Don't be holy people who want to go to heaven and forget about the management of the country. Don't forget that there are Christians who are falling today because of the economic hardship. So if they should be the ones leading, everyone is going to smile. Proverbs 29 verse 2, it makes it very clear.
All right.
So allow the people to enjoy this right and to also take up this responsibility. I am glad with what the bishop did over the week. I praise them. I'm glad I listened to the moderator of the Presbyterian Church. He too was out. I want to call on the Baptist Secretary. Please, we want to also hear your voice.
Executive President.
The Executive President, thank you. I want to also hear the Imams. I'm glad that some have also already started this. In the days ahead, Rehabe will be meeting with the Imam of the My 17 mosque and other mosques in Boya to discuss, for us to see how we can increase civic engagement and civic participation in nation building. We want to build this country. So please, let all the confessional institutions, let all the churches, let the mosque, let every single institution, those who believe in Baha or Baola, please, the Baha'i faith people, we are coming.
Olumba.
We will be there. The 7 days Adventists, we will be there. We should take part. The people need to be involved in making political discussions because Muhammad did not refuse us from leadership.
All right.
I'm glad that the Muslim understand this better. Muhammad did not say we should not become leaders.
But I was speaking with a Jehovah's Witness yesterday. He said they don't participate in elections.
If they say they believe in Jehovah, they should go to Proverbs